My name is Mandy Castle, and I'm 31. If I could bottle the smell of that morning, sage, brown butter, citrus peel grating into crystal bowls, it would be labeled belonging I tried to earn. By 5:18 a.m., my mother's kitchen was an orchestra pit, and I was the solitary musician tuning every instrument. Turkey brined, patted dry, brushed with butter that tasted like snow melting on hot stone. Stock humming, cranberries popping like small applause. I move the racks the way you only can when the oven belongs to someone else. Hands politely careful, heart privately territorial. Mom Carol glided in after 8, a silk robe and a smile already pre-cased for company. She looked at the bird, at my notes taped to the cabinet temperatures, timing, small rituals of competence, and said, "It's like perfume. Oh, you're still doing all this? I thought you'd want to relax." "I'm good," I said, basking like penance. "Almost done." She poured coffee. "Sabrina is bringing Jason's favorite green bean casserole. Amy has her sweet potatoes. I hope there's room for everything." There was room because I'd spent 3 hours making room. That's the part no one notices. The quiet arithmetic of heat, the choreography of trays. I brushed more butter under the skin, my small betrayal for flavor, and slid the turkey back in. The thermometer blinked up at me, patient as a judge. By noon, the house smelled like a magazine photo looks. Sabrina and Jason arrived with Ethan and Sophie, 8 and 6, who breezed past me like I lived in the wallpaper. Amy and Greg showed up 30 minutes later. She hugged me while her eyes tracked the china in the dining room. "Is that the good set?" she asked Mom. "Well, it's Thanksgiving," Mom said. "We're all together." When she said all, her gaze landed on my sisters and hung there like a portrait. Not me. We squeezed 22 humans around a table built for fewer. The spread glowed. If food could sing, it would have been a choir. Dad stood to carve the turkey. He held the knife like a scepter. "Carol, this looks magnificent. You've outdone yourself." Mom lifted her chin. "Well, I had some help. Amy's sweet potatoes, Sabrina's casserole." I waited for my name to arrive, the way you wait for a late train you've paid for. It didn't. Grace was said, gratitude was listed like a ledger. Family, health, prosperity. Thanks to Mom for her hard work, to Sabrina for her success, to Amy for her creativity. My hands went cold under the tablecloth. Mine weren't mentioned. I ate anyway. Because that's what you do when you're trying to belong. You swallow hard things. Compliments flew like confetti. Mom caught them with a smile and pocketed each one. "Carol, this turkey is perfect. This stuffing? Where did you learn cranberries like this?" She never redirected. Not once. I practiced being the kind of adult who doesn't need credit. I smiled at my plate. Then came the dishes. That's where invisible people audition for acceptance. You make yourself useful. I cleared the table. "Mandy, you don't have to," Mom said, already wrapping leftovers. "It's fine," I said, already at the sink. The water ran until my fingertips puckered. Somewhere behind me, Jason cracked open a beer, said, "Thanks, sis," to the room, not to me, and vanished. By 3, the kitchen gleamed. My feet throbbed. A headache pressed behind my eyes like a thumb. I drifted to the living room. Every seat was taken. Sabrina with her legs tucked under her. Amy scrolling through photos. Dad and Greg talking business. Mom in her recliner. Queen of comfort. I waited. No one looked up. I fetched a folding chair from the hall and placed myself in the corner, the way you set down a spare lamp. Football muttered on. Children chirped. The sound in my head had the shape of a dial tone. When Dad called to Jason and Greg to help move a bookshelf in the garage, they stood and drifted past me without a glance.
I watched the door swing shut behind them. I stared at the screen like I had chosen silence. At 5, coats appeared and containers were distributed. Big ones for Sabrina and Amy, heavy with slices and sides I'd coaxed into being. For me, a small clamshell, with turkey dampening one roll. "This is all we have left," Mom said, apologetic, like a wink.
"It's fine," I lied. "Carol, thank you so much for hosting," Sabrina said at the door. "You always make it so special." "Oh, it's my pleasure," Mom said. "Family is everything." I was slipping into my jacket when Mom asked, "You're leaving already? Stay for pie." "I should get back. Long drive." "Well, all right. Drive safe." I was almost out when I heard it. Her voice from the kitchen tucked into the clink of Tupperware. She was speaking to Amy, familiar and unguarded. "I just wish she'd relax when she visits. Always so eager to help, like she's trying to prove something. It makes everyone uncomfortable." Amy's reply was softer. "Maybe she's just trying to be useful." "She needs to remember she's only a visitor here. This is Sabrina and Amy's home more than hers. They're the ones who stayed. Mandy chose to move away. She doesn't belong the same way." The word visitor ripped cleanly like fabric. My hand sat on the doorknob, steady as a dare. I walked back down the hall. The kitchen light was too bright. The counters too honest. Mom and Amy turned, startled mid-rap. "Forget something?" Mom asked. I untied my apron. Flour and cranberry stains mapped the day on the fabric. I folded it gently and placed it on the counter between us, like evidence. "You're right, Mom," I said. "I am just a visitor." Confusion and defense rushed to her face like two people trying to get through one doorway. "Mandy, I didn't mean—" "No," I said, soft as a blade. "You did, and you're right, this isn't my home. I don't belong here the way they do. I'm the kid who shows up, works quietly, and thanks you for the privilege." Dad appeared in the doorway, sensing weather. "What's going on?" "Nothing," I said. My calm frightened me. "I'm leaving. Thank you for having me." Mom followed me to the foyer, words tumbling. "You're overreacting. I was just talking." "You were being honest," I said. "That helps. It clarifies." Jason came in from the garage, reading the room, irritated to be asked to care. "What's the drama?" "No drama," I said. "I'm just heading out." "You're being weird," he said, a smirk half-built. I looked past him at the warm room I had labored into existence, at the people who had let me assemble myself in a corner. "Yeah," I said, "I'm being weird." Outside, the porch light haloed their confusion. I slid into my car and did not turn on the radio. The drive back to Milwaukee is 2 hours of highway that doesn't ask questions. In the rear view, my family stood framed by their doorway like a painting of people who believe they have done nothing wrong. At home, the apartment was precisely as I'd left it. Dark, clean, mine. The silence at last sounded like something I chose. I sat on my couch in my jacket and watched the blank wall for a long time, the way you watch the ocean when you're not sure if you're drowning or finally breathing. My phone lit up. "Mom, I think there was a misunderstanding. Call me when you get home safe." A misunderstanding, as if clarity were a smudge I could wipe off with the back of my hand. I put the phone face down. The screen pulsed with the rhythm of insistence. "Amy, you know how she is." "Dad, whatever this is, fix it." The chorus of a family that loved their version of me. I brewed tea I didn't drink. The kettle cooled. The apartment listened. Somewhere between the first and second unanswered call, a sentence settled in my chest with the weight of furniture. Visitors eventually leave. I rehearsed that truth until it stopped tasting like grief and started tasting like a boundary. Somewhere a timer dinged in a house that wasn't mine. I turned off my phone. The room exhaled. Tomorrow would be Black Friday. Sales and scarcity. The day America pretends we need more. I already knew the only thing I had been overbuying.
Not presents, permission. Not gifts, a seat. Tonight, I let the silence own the room. Tonight, I named the thing. I was done trying to buy a family who kept calling me guest. The next morning, the city outside my window buzzed like it hadn't heard of heartbreak. Delivery trucks, honking horns, people clutching coffee cups and shopping lists. Everyone chasing a discount. Inside my apartment, the only sale I was making was emotional clearance.
I sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, and did something dangerous. I added it up. Groceries for Thanksgiving, $473. Mom's birthday dinner in March, $180. Dad's Father's Day gift, $215. Sabrina's kids' birthdays, $150. Amy's son's Christmas last year, $90. Times I covered restaurant tabs, at least $600. Gas for every monthly visit, $150 a trip times 12. $4,483. The price of being tolerated, the receipt for belonging. I stared at that number until the lines blurred. I'd spent thousands trying to buy a place in a family that still referred to me as a visitor. My phone buzzed again. Mom, you're being dramatic. Dad, call your mother, she's upset. Amy, you hurt her feelings. You know she didn't mean it like that. They didn't even realize that was the problem. They never meant it. Meaningless cruelty disguised as casual truth. Then a new message popped up. Noah. Hey, I saw your text last night. You okay? I hesitated. He was still in Boston with his sister, helping with the new baby. I didn't want to dump this on him. I'm fine. A pause. 3 dots. You're not. Want to talk? I sighed and hit call. When he answered, his voice was soft and steady. Tell me what happened, Mandy. And I did. From the turkey to the Tupperware. Every small humiliation, every silence. The word visitor echoing like a closing door. He didn't interrupt, just breathed quietly while I talked myself hoarse. When I finished, I heard the rustle of him sitting back on his sister's couch. Mandy, he said finally, I've been watching you with your family for 2 years. Every time you visit, you come back smaller. I swallowed. I just want them to see I'm trying. They do see it. They just don't value it. His voice cracked a little. You can't keep setting yourself on fire so they'll feel warm. That line landed like truth disguised as kindness. I laughed through my tears. You sound like a therapist. He chuckled softly. No, just someone who's tired of watching you bleed for people who never notice. We talked for another hour. When we hung up, my apartment felt heavier, but quieter too, like the air had learned boundaries. For the first time, I said the words out loud. I'm not going home for Christmas. And I meant it. 3 days later, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it until I saw the preview. Hi, Mandy. This is Jennifer. I know this is weird, but I wanted to reach out. Jennifer? Sabrina's friend, who'd been at Thanksgiving with her family. I opened it. I was there when you left. I just wanted to say I understand why you did. What your mom said, that wasn't okay. I froze. Jennifer barely spoke to me at family events. Thanks, I texted back. I appreciate that. 3 dots appeared, then another message. Sabrina doesn't get it. She keeps saying you overreacted, but I've seen how your family treats you. I grew up in a house like that, always the one proving I belonged. Something in my chest loosened, the kind of validation you don't know you needed until it arrives from someone who owes you nothing. Thanks for saying that, I typed. It means more than you think. Don't lose yourself trying to be their piece. You deserve your own. I stared at the screen long after the conversation ended. The universe has a cruel sense of humor. Sometimes strangers see you clearer than family ever will. Later that night, as if on cue, another message came in, this time from a name I hadn't seen in months. Elena, Noah's ex, the one he dated before me, the one who still lingered on his family's Instagram like a ghost in old photos. Hey, Mandy. Random, I know, but I saw Noah's sister post something about Boston and Thanksgiving drama. Just wanted to say, whatever it is, don't let them make you doubt your worth. I knew a family like that once. They'll gaslight you with manners. I blinked, half shocked, half weirdly touched. Thanks, I typed. That's unexpectedly kind. Guess I learned the hard way. Don't call it dramatic when you're the only one bleeding. The irony wasn't lost on me. My boyfriend's ex reminding me of my own value.
I didn't tell Noah about her message. Not because I was hiding it, but because some ghosts arrive just to hand you the map out.
By Sunday night, my decision was made. No more pretending, no more monthly visits, no more paying to be invisible. I opened my banking app one last time, highlighted the year's transactions, and moved that $4,483 into a new savings folder titled Me. Not petty, not revenge, just reclamation. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop, a chain of family messages pinging like alarms. Mom, it's been 4 days. You're being childish. Dad, call your mother. Sabrina, you're making her cry. Amy, we're family. You can't just shut us out. I turned the phone over and let it vibrate against the table until it stopped. For once, their noise couldn't reach me. I wasn't the family peacekeeper anymore. I was the quiet before the storm they caused. That night, Noah texted again. How are you holding up? I wrote, better. I think I'm done playing their games. Good. Want to come to my parents for Christmas? They'd love to have you. I hesitated. Are you sure? He said, Mom's already bought you a stocking. You're family now. For a moment, the words didn't register. You're family now. I smiled into the dim room. The kind of smile that comes after a war when you realize you survived it. For the first time in years, I wasn't dreading the holidays. I was building something new. Not perfect, not polished, but honest. And I swore to myself I would never again spend a single dollar or minute trying to earn what love should give freely. 3 weeks passed. My apartment grew used to silence, the kind that no longer felt empty, just earned. I filled my time with small things. Candles that actually matched, meals for one that didn't taste lonely, and long calls with Noah, whose voice steadied me like gravity. I'd stopped checking my phone for family messages, stopped hoping, stopped apologizing for breathing differently than they wanted me to. But at 10:07 p.m. on a Tuesday, a sharp knock split the quiet. At first, I thought it was a delivery mistake. Then I looked through the peephole. My mother was standing there crying in the hallway. I froze. For a full minute, I just watched her through the fisheye glass, the robe, the wet eyes, the desperate twist of her hands. That old instinct screamed, open the door, fix it. But another voice, quieter and wiser, said, remember what she called you. After 3 slow breaths, I opened the door. Mom. She looked startled, like she hadn't expected me to actually appear. Mandy, she whispered, voice cracking. Can we talk, please? I stepped aside. She entered hesitantly, scanning the apartment like she'd never seen it, because she hadn't. In 2 years of living here, she had never once visited. She sat on the couch, pulling tissues from her purse. I stayed standing. I've been calling, she said softly. I know. Why didn't you answer? I needed space. From your own mother? From someone who hurt me and refused to admit it. She blinked, confused. I drove 2 hours to see you. I didn't clap for the effort. I'd made that drive every month for years, and no one had called it love. Why now? I asked. Her lip trembled. Because I can't stand this distance anymore. The family's worried. Your sisters ask about you every day. I almost laughed. Do they? Or are you just tired of explaining why I'm not coming back? She flinched. That's not fair. It's honest. She took a deep breath, her voice fragile. I came to apologize. For what specifically? For hurting your feelings? For the visitor comment? I didn't mean it the way it sounded. I crossed my arms. Then how did you mean it? She looked away. You don't live here anymore, Mandy. Sabrina and Amy stayed close. They built their lives here. You moved away. That's all I meant. So I'm less of a daughter because I grew up? No, she said, shaking her head. It's just different. Right, she said. It is different. Because when I lived here, I still didn't belong. She opened her mouth, but I didn't stop. What did I cook for Thanksgiving, Mom? She blinked. What? Name one dish. The turkey, she said quickly. What else? I I don't remember. Exactly, I said quietly. I spent 6 hours in your kitchen cooking almost everything. You took the credit. You didn't even notice. You're keeping score again, she muttered. No, I'm finally looking at the scoreboard. Her chin lifted defensively. You've always been dramatic. Or maybe you've always been dismissive. That one landed. She twisted the tissue in her hands. I didn't mean to make you feel unappreciated. You didn't make me feel it, Mom. You proved it. We sat in silence long enough to hear the refrigerator hum. Then she said quietly, I was frustrated that day. You came in and took over my kitchen. You made all this elaborate food. It made me feel inadequate. That stopped me. You asked me to help? I know, she said, but when you did everything so perfectly, I felt useless. I almost laughed. A short, bitter sound. You humiliated me to protect your ego. She looked down. That wasn't my intention, but it was the result. She sniffed, eyes glassy. I'm sorry. It should have felt like a victory hearing those words. Instead, it felt like standing in a room full of smoke after the fire's out. Nothing left to burn. But you can't breathe either. You think one apology fixes 31 years of being invisible? I asked softly. Her voice cracked. I don't know how to fix it. Maybe you can't. Not quickly. Maybe not ever. She stood suddenly, clutching her purse. I came to make peace, and you just want to punish me. No, I said. I'm protecting myself from you. From my own mother. From the person who makes me feel small. Her shoulders stiffened. Are you coming for Christmas? No. The family will ask where you are. Tell them whatever's easier. Her eyes filled again. This is killing me, Mandy. It's been killing me for years. Nobody noticed. She left without another word. The door clicked shut. I stood there, breathing in the silence she left behind. Not peaceful, but necessary. A minute later, Noah appeared from the bedroom doorway. He'd been staying with me since returning from Boston. That was her, wasn't it? Yeah. How do you feel? Empty, I admitted. But not in a bad way. He nodded. Sometimes empty is just space for something new. The next morning, my phone pinged. Amy, Mom told me about last night. You were too harsh. Me, you weren't there. Amy, she's heartbroken. Me, I've been hurting for years. Nobody noticed. Amy, you're being selfish. This is tearing the family apart. Me, the family was already broken. I just stopped pretending. I didn't send another message after that. That evening, Sabrina's husband, Jason, called. His voice was sharp, rehearsed. You made Carol cry. I said, she told her version. Want to hear mine? She said you told her off after she drove 2 hours to see you. I said I'm tired of being treated like I don't matter. You can't just cut everyone off because your feelings got hurt. I smiled bitterly. Did you notice I was sitting alone at Thanksgiving? Did you notice who cooked the food? Did you notice anything about me? Silence. If you want a relationship with me, you know where I am. Don't hold your breath, he muttered and hung up. Minutes later, a text from Jennifer lit my phone. I heard Jason talking. I tried to explain your side, but he won't listen. I just wanted you to know you're not crazy. You deserve better. For the first time that night, I smiled. Thanks, Jennifer. That means a lot. By the time I turned off the lights, the apartment felt still again, stripped clean of guilt, expectation, and noise. I didn't know if my family and I would ever find peace, but I knew this. Peace built on silence isn't peace. It's a performance, and I was finally done performing. Christmas morning arrived without pressure or pretending. No drive, no tension, no fake laughter echoing through a house that never felt like mine. Instead,
I woke up to the smell of cinnamon and coffee drifting from Noah's kitchen, his mother humming softly along to a holiday playlist. "Good morning, sweetheart," she said when I walked in. "We've been waiting to hang this." She held up a red stocking with white embroidery that read, "Mandy." My throat tightened.
"You made that for me?" Her smile was warm and easy. "Of course, you're part of the family now." I didn't cry. Not yet. I just stood there, holding something I didn't have to earn. The day unfolded like warmth made tangible. There was laughter that didn't hide barbs. There were stories that didn't require me to play the fool. And when Noah's dad handed me a mug of hot cocoa and asked about my job, really asked, not to compare me to anyone, I realized how foreign genuine interest felt. For a fleeting moment I thought, so this is what family is supposed to feel like. But later, when the house quieted and I slipped outside with my phone, I saw the unread messages waiting like ghosts. "Mom, Merry Christmas. We miss you." "Amy, dinner's weird without you." "Sabrina, you made Mom cry again." I didn't reply. Not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood that love without respect is just dependency in disguise. I pocketed my phone and looked up at the falling snow. Soft, relentless, cleansing. Noah joined me on the porch, wrapping his arm around my shoulders. "You okay?" "I think so," I whispered. "It's the first Christmas that doesn't feel like a performance." He smiled, kissing my forehead. "Then you're finally home." January came like quiet redemption. Work promoted me again. Project manager, bigger salary, better hours. Noah and I started apartment hunting together, touring places that smelled like fresh paint and possibility. And yet, despite the forward motion, something unfinished lingered in the background, an unspoken ache shaped like my mother's absence. I tried to ignore it until one Tuesday in March when my phone buzzed with an unexpected name. Jennifer. "Hey Mandy, I don't know if anyone told you, but your mom's in the hospital." My heart stalled. What happened? "She fell and broke her hip. It's been 2 weeks. She's stable, but they didn't tell you." 2 weeks. No calls, no messages. Not a word. "Does she want to see me?" I asked. "I don't know, but I thought you should know." I sat there in silence, feeling something twist inside me. Not anger, not sadness, just disbelief that they'd left me out of this too. Noah found me on the couch 10 minutes later, phone still in my hand. "What's wrong?" "My mom's in the hospital," I said flatly. "They didn't tell me." His eyes softened. "Are you going to go?" "I don't owe them anything," I said, but my voice trembled. He sat beside me. "You don't owe them, but maybe you owe yourself the peace of knowing you tried." That line lodged somewhere deep in that space between pride and compassion. 2 days later, I was walking through the antiseptic corridors of St. Mary's Hospital, clutching a bouquet of lilies that felt like a question I wasn't sure how to ask. I found her room easily, room 312, pale light spilling across the floor. Dad was there, half dozing in the corner chair. Mom turned when I walked in. Her eyes whitened. "Mandy." Dad jerked awake. "What are you doing here?" "I told you," I said. "I came to check on Mom." "We didn't call you for a reason," he said sharply. "I know, but I'm here anyway." Mom's hand trembled on the blanket. "You came." I pulled up a chair beside her bed. "How are you feeling?" "Old," she said with a half laugh, half sigh. "And stupid. I slipped in the driveway, broke my hip." "I'm glad you're okay," I said quietly. Dad's eyes were cold. "Why now, Mandy, after all these months of silence?" "Because she's still my mother," I said.
And despite everything, I don't want her to suffer. The silence that followed wasn't tense. It was fragile, like glass we were all afraid to touch. Then Mom spoke, voice tremoling. "Are you still angry?" I thought about it. No, I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done trying to be something I'm not. Dad frowned. That's not fair. It's honest, I said. I cared so much it almost broke me. I can't live like that anymore. Mom's eyes filled. We do care, Mandy. We just don't know how to show it in ways that matter to you. It was the first real thing she'd ever said. I just needed to feel like I mattered, as much as Sabrina and Amy. You do matter, she said softly. We just didn't tell you enough. Then why didn't anyone tell me you were in the hospital?
Neither of them spoke. Dad finally muttered, "We thought you wouldn't come." "But you didn't even give me the chance," I said. Mom reached for my hand, hesitant, almost afraid I'd pull away. "I've had a lot of time to think," she said. "You were right. We took you for granted. We made you feel like a visitor." Her voice cracked on the word. "I don't know if we can fix it," she added, "but I want you to know I see it now." For a long time, I said nothing. Then I nodded slowly. "I don't know what happens next, but thank you for saying that." We talked for another hour, not about the past, just about ordinary things. Work, Noah, her physical therapy. When I stood to leave, she squeezed my hand. "Will you come back?" "Maybe," I said, "if you want me to." "I do." In the parking lot, Dad caught up with me before I could reach my car. "I don't know how to admit I was wrong, but your mother's right. We messed up." I studied him. This man who'd built his authority on silence. "Yeah," I said softly. "You did. Can we try again? I don't want to start over. That erases what happened. But maybe we can start different, with honesty." He nodded. "I can do that." Driving back, I didn't feel happy or sad, just real. Noah was waiting at home. "How was it?" "Honest," I said, for the first time. He smiled faintly. "That's something." "Yeah," I said. "It is." Weeks passed. The phone calls from Mom came slowly, short at first, checking in, asking about my job, my health. Dad texted occasionally. Sabrina and Amy stayed quiet, and I made peace with that. In June, I went back for Dad's birthday. My first visit in months. I brought Noah. The house felt different, not healed, but humbled. At dinner, Dad paused before the meal. "Mandy, would you do the honors?" He handed me the carving knife. It was a small gesture, but one that meant everything. Mom added, almost shyly, "Mandy helped with the vegetables." For the first time in my life, she gave me credit out loud. After dinner, we sat talking quietly. Mom looked over and asked, "When do we get to see your apartment?" "You want to visit?" I asked, surprised. "If you'll have us," she said. I looked at Noah. He nodded gently. "Yeah, that would be okay." It wasn't perfect. The old hurt didn't vanish, but it was honest, real, human. As we drove home, Noah reached for my hand. "You okay?" "Yeah, I think I am. They're trying. Not enough to erase what happened, but it's something." He smiled. "Is it enough?" I thought about it. The years of being invisible, the quiet boundary, the slow rebuild. It's enough for now, and maybe that's all it needs to be. He squeezed my hand. eyes soft. You found your peace. Outside, the sky glowed with the last streak of daylight, imperfect but still beautiful. Family, I said quietly, isn't about blood or obligation. It's about effort, respect, and recognition. And for the first time in my life, I finally had all three.